Okay, giving the people what they want, another video about race. People have asked me many times in my comments to make more videos about race, more videos about whiteness. So here we go. Today we're deep diving into my race and my ethnicity. This is all stemming as inspiration from the fact that I was talking to my flatmate, my roommate, and they were telling me about their entire family history and how they met some random person on like at their job, and it happened to be that they shared great grandparents, and they were telling me like their whole family line back to like I don't even know, the 1500s. And I remembered that my mom had made a family tree for us at one point, and I also remembered that 23andMe is going bankrupt and are about to like sell everybody's information or something. I was like, "Oh my God, I forgot that I need to delete all that." So, I'm going to show you my 23andMe results as well and talk about that. And then after that, we're just like I'm going to fix it so that they can't sell my information and make clones of me or whatever it is that they're intending to do. People intend to do with our DNA. Actually, I think one of the primary reasons that I am so interested in race, or that the reason that I have my individual relationship to race as a construct and the way that I speak about it, is because my race has never made sense to me, or like I feel like I'm at such a weird overlap of race and whiteness that I just like I'm constantly extremely uncomfortable and just unpacking it. I've mentioned in other videos, but my dad's side of the family is just 100% just white, pure white. I'm gonna go into the 23andMe results, but yeah. And then my mom's side of the family, so my mom's dad is black and indigenous. My mom's mom is white, and we looked back and we had some indigenous ancestry back like on that side too for unfortunate colonial reasons. And yeah, so I also was born in the US, so I am also like Latina in American context, and that's a confusing overlap too because it's like this othering sort of identity, but at the same time, um I'm still white, and I'm also half Latina, like I'm half Latina, half white. So it's just like a whole mess. I had so many things to unpack. Being Latino isn't a race. Um, Brazilianness and the complex relationship to race that Brazil has, and what that means for my race. And I don't know. There's just been a lot to unpack, and I'm never 100% like and then at the end of the day, I'm clearly white, which I go into in another video. But yeah, actually, another interesting sort of experience that I had this week, to me, I'm gonna be honest, when I look at myself in the mirror, like on an off day or something, I do not I'm like I look clearly like an American white girl. But people since I was young, like they've always asked me my ethnicity. Like they can tell I'm like a little something. I don't know, like something different. Like they'll ask I had somebody ask me this week when I went to fix my phone at the repair shop. He was like, "Where are you from?" And I responded I was from the US, and I got into this whole conversation, and then later on it became relevant like to the conversation. I said I'm half Brazilian, my mom is from Brazil, and he was like, "Oh, that's why I asked you where you were from. I could see that there was like some kind of like, from Latin America or something like that." He was it was a man from Afghanistan, but I get that question a lot also from white people. like I one time when I worked at a restaurant, people they were like trying to guess where I was from. They're like, "You're like what?" Like, but they didn't guess like anything crazy. They were like Russian, Danish. I guess they just had like exotic white in their head. And finally I told them like, "No, I'm half Brazilian." I've had people ask me if I'm Russian before. I don't know. This guy at the convenience store, like people just asked me. It was like, "Are you Russian?" I was like, "No, I'm half Brazilian." The craziest one I ever got, I think, was somebody. I had my hair dyed darker in college, and I used to always line my eyes. They're lined today, but I forget to do it most of the time. But I had somebody, like an Arab man, yell at me from across the street, and he was like, "Are you Arab? Are you Arab?" I was like, "No." That one was crazy to me. I was like, "What in the world?" Yeah. And I even one time this lady, she like on the street, she was I don't know what was going on with her, but she started yelling at me, asking me if I was. She's like, "You're so pretty. Are you Jewish?" And like I was like, "No." She's like, "Are you Jewish?" She's like, "Leave me alone." I don't know. People are just always they always have an interesting guess, even though I don't think that I look that different. But I guess people just maybe my features are a little bit like different. I think people are just like, what kind of white are you? Or they're just curious. So yeah. But we did always appear white. Actually, when I was younger, this is kind of irrelevant, but when I was a little kid, like when my sister and I were like babies, my mom is like she has like brown skin, like she's mixed, right? So, actually, when we were at the airport, they like pulled her aside and like did a thorough check to make sure she wasn't stealing us. So, yeah, we look a lot whiter than my mom, but people still ask us like, "Where are you from?" and like stuff like that. Like, are just sort of like you look a little bit different. So, anyways, I thought with that in mind, we would go into my 23andMe results. They're not that exciting, but we're gonna chat about it. I'm gonna show you pictures of my family from Brazil. I'm not gonna show you pictures of my dad's side of the family because I don't know. I didn't ask them, so it's kind of weird. But I did ask my mom if she was okay with me showing pictures of our family and like our family tree and stuff, and she said yes, that's fine. So yeah. Okay, into the 23andMe results we go. My dad got his 23andMe for Christmas one year when my sister and I were teenagers. I think he was extremely curious. I was actually surprised by the results, which you're going to go into, but my mom's never done it. My mom is too suspicious for a good reason. Now they're selling all of our DNA, like I said. So, if we don't get it off the website or something. So she never did it. I would be curious to know what her actual like genetic results are, but we didn't have that. So, okay, here we go into the very my very non-special, extremely European 23andMe. Okay, I was actually surprised by I was expecting myself to seem like have a very European result, but I'm gonna show you my family on my mom's side in a second, show you pictures, and I was like, they did not get picked up into these results in the slightest. Like I was kind of shocked. Um, so here we have, so okay, British, my my dad's side of the family, I'm assuming. We actually I think they showed somewhere here and we like literally came in with like the first of the first. My family's from Virginia, so literally like, Jamestown kind of vibes going on here. Yeah. So, anyways, not very exciting, but interesting. And then the rest of my white, I guess I'm like 50% British from my dad's side. The other white percentage is like Spanish, Portuguese. That's 40%. And then these random European, you know, maybe this is, I don't know, this is such a small percentage. This is that percentage that people get and they're like, I'm 1/16th Native American, which is actually literally my case. But yeah, like but yeah, it's not that special. It's not that much. I'm not gonna act like I'm like not extremely white. But anyways, but I was really actually hoping that we would get some kind of information about what indigenous group my great grandma it was because actually, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and show you a picture of my great grandma. We don't like, let's see if I can find them. This is my great grandma. My mom only visited my grandma one time. Wait, let me Okay, so my mom only visited my great grandma one time, right? She was Indigenous. We never really actually met or knew my grandpa's side of the family well at all. I only met my grandpa even one time. Like he was a very interesting character. Probably had like a lot of trauma. I mean, he was just hectic from all of the stories that I heard about him. But one time when my mom was actually around my age, she decided that she was gonna go meet, visit like my dad's side of the family. They live in like the northwest of Brazil where it's very dry and very impoverished. And she actually had to go there on like a donkey. Like she had to actually she couldn't like drive the rest of the way, I think is she told me. She had to literally go on like a donkey. So she went and she visited them. So let me see if I can find the picture. Hold on. Okay, here's one very beautiful picture that my mom took of my great grandma. What's interesting is that my great grandma, so she truly was like indigenous. She actually when my mom went to visit her, she had already developed dementia, and in developing dementia, she had returned back to her native tongue. So they couldn't even really communicate well at all. She had a few special things, like she gave my mom her her pipe. Like she had this pipe that she would like smoke. I don't know. It's very beautiful. It's like this wooden pipe and But they couldn't, I think they couldn't really communicate that well. We don't really know much about my grandpa's side of the family at all, but they did have a lot. He had a lot of siblings. I told this story in another video when I was talking about my personal project, but he actually went off when he was pretty young. He only went to school till like the eighth grade, and then he went off and he just learned to make maps and he just like taught himself and yeah, I don't know. So he was pretty interesting, but this was my great grandma who literally just had res gone back to her native tongue by that point. I think there's a picture of her that my mom took as well. Yeah, we don't know, like I said, we don't actually know the group that she's from. Our whole life, what my mom told us and what we thought was that she was Yanomami. This is the group that my mom thought that my grandma was for the longest time. But actually, since my mom's moved back to Brazil, she's been working with a lot of indigenous groups in Rio, and she's been doing a lot of pretty cool projects. But she's been just found a lot of community with indigenous people there and told them about, I guess, her life and where her grandma was from and stuff. And I don't know. My mom told me the name, but I don't remember. But they kind of thought she was not from this tribe, but from another tribe, based on what they knew about where she was from and things like that. So I don't actually know where she's from. Her like lineage was practically, I mean, I guess maybe this little percentage, but I think that this Indigenous American label is actually from North America, not South America. So what I'm thinking is that I actually think that they don't really I think that the results depend also on your ability to how they like sort of put you into this web of other people's DNA results. And I don't think probably as many Brazilians maybe do 23andMe. And then from that point, I think that probably they don't have a lot of DNA from people who are indigenous from Brazil. So they didn't have, like, for example, like let's see what they say about Indigenous American. I don't see, I think well, they didn't really say. I mean, I guess it could be that, but I'm not surprised. I mean, I wasn't expecting the percentage to be that high, but my mom is like I guess she's a fourth indigenous, so I just thought it would be a little bit more represented, but it really wasn't, which is fine, but I was just curious to see how that was gonna play out. Um, and then yeah, I don't know. We what I also think is interesting is that my grandpa is mixed race. So I'll show you, he just passed recently. Where is he? This was my grandpa. This was my grandpa when I don't know how old he was in this picture, but he was mixed. Um, but I feel like his results weren't also felt like they weren't really captured because I thought this little mini percentage was gonna be him. But what I found actually upon the looking at the additional ancestry regions was that we had this other African ancestry. Um, so, but it wasn't related at all to Brazil. It was related to the US. So, what was interesting, I'm gonna see if I can find the exact story my grandma told me. My whole dad's side of the family is just white. But this was actually the area that my grandma's family, I think, was I don't know if they were from North Carolina, but they were or very close to North Carolina. And she actually, I showed them this. I was like, it's interesting. We just got like new African ancestry, like out of the blue, and it's from this area that you guys are from, which was really interesting. And okay, this was the story that was told to me by my grandma upon me showing them this. She says that our my grandfather Gilbert, so I guess her grandfather, no, yeah, her grandfather Gilbert came from Suffolk. Following the railroad track, he was young and had a wicked stepmother, apprenticed as a cabinet maker in Norfolk. So what my dad was saying was that he was like, it would make sense that maybe her great grandfather was mixed and that the stepmother was maybe not happy about the fact that he was mixed and apparently, she said that she always heard, my grandma said she always heard someone was a pirate on the Gilbert side, so on her side of the family, on her dad's side of the family. And my dad was like, that might have been a way of hiding that he was black. So I thought that was pretty interesting that my actual mixed race black grandfather's DNA did not show, like, he didn't even show up at all really on my results, I think. But we have like some random, probably mixed race like relative that just, yeah, came up the railroad track and cabinet maker. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think that makes pretty good sense. And I think it just is very interesting. I really want to watch. There's some cool movies and videos that I've seen that I am very interested in watching about how people back in the day, like they would, if you had the tiniest percentage of black, like if you had like one black ancestor and people knew about it, you were just considered black. And like the one drop rule and things of that like things like that. And so people would go out of their way to also hide like that they were mixed. If they could pass, they would. Like if you were black but or mixed, but you could appear as white, you would to blend into society. I mean, I'm sure not everyone did, but it was a privilege that some people had that were whiter, they could pass, right? So that might have been the case for this one random, I guess maybe my grandma's grandpa, which kind of crazy because then that gives her the same racial mixture as me. It's kind of crazy to think about. I don't know. It's just a lot to unpack. But anyways, I mean, who knows? I mean, we were just speculating, but I think it seems pretty relevant given the fact that he was coming from that same this little bubble and that he was, yeah, just a story made it seem pretty like it could be, right? Yeah, so that was pretty interesting, like pretty random. I have no proof of that. I'd have to ask her. I doubt she has a picture of her grandpa, but who knows, she could. This I have zero idea. I'm sorry. I don't think I have any ancestors in this region, but maybe on my grandpa's side. Um, I don't know. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting to think about just the how many people in the US are probably actually mixed. I saw this video on YouTube the other day, and it was about this family, and they had gone their whole life thinking their grandma was that this girl had gone her whole life thinking her grandma was white and that she had like no other family, no siblings. And once the grandma passed, they found out that the grandma was actually black and had like a lot of siblings. So her mom was mixed, fully mixed. And so she was like a fourth black. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. And I don't know, race, like it's always been such an weird thing for me to sit with because I think just being any kind of mix, it's just kind of strange to think about, um, and to just sit with the discomfort of like you don't. I don't know. It's just like this is so fake, but also so relevant to our life and to our world. And um, there's so many like moments where I don't know. It's funny because it kind of changes your perception of yourself in a weird way, or like to have relatives that I don't know hid they were black, or you have relatives that are mixed and things like that, but then you're white and it's like people react to you like you're white and you are white, but I don't know, it's just so interesting and just the way that we have changed so much in how we talk about race and how we see race that we have gone from at one point literally if you had like if people essentially considered you having like one drop of black you were black, and now it's like the whole opposite like situation. Like if you even people like actual like mixed like half black half white people, there's some mixed people that people be like you're not black or you're white. I'm not even like I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just commenting. I think it's pretty interesting how much we've shifted our conversation about race from um people really lumped into blackness. Now people are usually it goes on the opposite end, and that's not to say that that's a bad thing per se. It's an interesting conversation about privilege and the way that privilege has changed and the way that we've changed our marker of race from really biological to really has having something more to do with the way that we interact with each other and like the sort of relationship we have to each other. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. just interesting things to think about. Yeah, I wanted really badly to know more about my Brazilian side because I didn't really get to know. I'm gonna see like what are the other tabs I have open because I just had interesting things to talk about. I'm gonna show you guys my mom. This is my mom. Her amazing art page that I go see myself. Yeah, like this is my mom's art page. She's an amazing artist. She also actually makes art about race, indigeneity, things of that nature, and art that I really like. But yeah, this is my mom. She is mixed. I feel like here you go. Here you have a picture of my grandma too. My grandma is my Brazilian grandma was white. Even on her side, her last name actually was a word for a tree. And apparently people with in they're from the south of Brazil. My family's from the south of Brazil. At least my grandma's side. My grandpa, he moved there, right? And so people with the last name that had the name of a tree, apparently a lot of times they were actually Jewish people who had moved. And they changed their name to these names of trees. I need to look that up more. My mom always wondered if that was the case for our family, but I can't say that with certainty. I don't know because we were definitely here like I'll show the family tree, but my family's been here since before then. My family was in Brazil since before, definitely before World War II. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. My mom, when she was a kid, yeah, you can see here. Um, This was when she was washing my grandma's hair. Not my grandma, my great grandma's hair, her grandma's. And then here again, the picture. So yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting overlap that my family sits in, that I sit in. I do fall into that percentage of white people that are like 1/16 Indigenous, and I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I'm Indigenous and I'm like, you know what I mean? It's a little bit complicated. I don't even honestly know how to relate to that personally. Yeah, there's a lot of people who like, I'm a Cherokee princess, and it's like you are white and you don't have any connection to your like indigenous culture at all. So, um, it's a little bit like, again, I'm just gonna chat. I think again, it's one of those really complex overlaps where it doesn't mean just because you are 1/16 Indigenous, you shouldn't claim it, because on the other end, there are people that say that the whitening of Indigenous people is, I mean, obviously that was like a colonial move, and that if people authentically connect to their indigeneity and have a relationship to their indigenous culture, people like will obviously like welcome you back in to keep the culture alive and keep the culture strong. So that's not to say that just because people are 1/16 Indigenous or whatever doesn't mean they shouldn't have a relationship to it. If they're going to have an authentic relationship to it, that's sort of this is I'm mirroring back what I've read. I'm not trying to be like a voice or anything. I'm just saying what I've heard, and I think that it's like just an interesting, again, another one of those interesting overlaps where yeah, if people want to have that really authentic connection to like of resistance, right, of keeping indigeneity alive and stopping it from sort of being whitened out, then people are welcome to do that. But it's more, sometimes people just think it's like a quirky thing, or like they now they're gonna have a spirit animal and all this stuff, and it's like no. But yeah, so I'm not trying to, I don't know. I would say that even though my mom's relationship to her indigeneity was a really big part of my upbringing, the way that she presented herself and the kinds of things that she cared about, I never really got to delve into it. We don't even know what our indigenous group is truly, unfortunately. I mean, my mom's trying to do research into that, but that's not her fault. Again, that's we were very disconnected from our family, and also it's a lot of people, I think they don't, because it was colonialism at work again, people didn't really try to I think in that moment in Brazil, I think there was definitely a probably colonial undertone to the fact that women would be sort of indigenous women were forced to marry or were stolen, were had sexual violence enacted upon them. I actually have Indigenous ancestors on my grandmother's side of the family as well, and I think that was most likely the case on her side of the family. The Indigenous ancestors that we had on my whiter grandmother's side were probably not wanting to be in those relationships in the slightest, and it's really sad to think about, really violent, but that's also part of the history of Brazil. And I don't know what the case was for my grandpa's family. I don't know particularly, I mean, my great grandfather was black. So I don't know what the relationship there was. I don't know, who knows what my great grandmother was thinking, if they had an authentic connection, if it was another one of those cases. I don't really know. My grandpa is kind of a mystery to me. Again, I didn't really get to have a relationship to him. He was a very tumultuous character. He just had a lot going on inside, and he was quite the story. But I mean, I feel like I'm actually feeling a bit emotional right now because it made me sad. I never had a relationship to him. Um, I wanted to. I care about my family a lot, and I wish that we had had. It's making me kind of sad to see this picture and stuff, but um, I don't know. Yeah, we never really had a relationship, so I don't really know anything. And I'll show you guys my family tree. This is my mom. Okay, we got my mom, and then this is my grandma here. We have, if you were somehow from my family, like send comment something. I don't know. People somehow in Brazil, people keep the family so intact, dude. Like we're so close to like random like second cousins and stuff, and it's like what that we do not have that relationship as much in the US, I think. But if you by some magic and chance are part of my family, or you're like my like third cousin twice removed, bro, comment. Like that's so interesting. But anyways, yeah, this is our family tree here that we have. um yeah, I don't know. I don't know, like my grandpa's side, we don't have anything. Like we don't even know the names of our relatives on that side. That's how much we don't know anything. Which really sucks. And I think that probably the records of their side of the family weren't as well kept. Like I said, we know he had a lot of siblings, my grandpa. I don't think my mom never met her grandpa. Like she never met my grandpa's dad. And I don't have pictures of him. I don't know anything about him. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, we do have pretty intact here. Actually, apparently, I didn't know my great grandma died in 2006. Apparently, we have pictures of her and me like chatting it up. I don't know. I mean, not chatting. I was like an infant, but I was like hanging out with her. Um, yeah, everyone in my family though, I'm gonna live to be like 110 because everyone in my family is so old. Like they die so old. Other than my poor grandma who died of COVID. I miss her so bad, but I actually did have a relationship to her, even though it wasn't as close as I wanted it to be because I lived abroad and I was embarrassed of my Portuguese. So stupid. I'm just so mad. I actually went back to college and was like, I'm gonna improve my Portuguese again. I was completely fluent in Portuguese and Spanish as a kid because we lived in Peru. Completely fluent. And then I moved to the US, the stupid US, and I lost my language. I mean, I didn't ever lose it 100%. My mom always spoke Portuguese to us. I still spoke it, but I wasn't good at it. So annoying. I didn't know any Brazilian, so I didn't have any chance to practice. So irritating. And now I'm trying to improve, but I felt so guilty my whole upbringing because I was like, I just want to be able to talk to my grandma. And I would get on the phone. I'd feel stupid. I wouldn't want to talk to her. I'd feel like embarrassed because I couldn't speak to her that well. And I went to college and started taking Portuguese classes to be able to have a connection with her. And then COVID happened. So rest in peace, my grandma. If this is somehow you and your family and you are like a young person who has family abroad, do not waste a chance. They don't, your family's not going to care if your whatever language is extremely broken, and you're going to be really sad that you didn't have more conversations with them, unfortunately. Yeah, but my grandma was also, both of my grandma and my grandpa were Virgos. My grandma was very quiet from the times that I met her. I don't think she was always quiet. But I think when I would go see her, she was a little bit more reserved as well. Like me, I'm a Virgo. I have a reserved energy as well to me. But anyways, but yeah, so I don't know. This is just everything that I know about my family. I didn't show my dad's side of the family because they're alive and kicking and well, and I literally know them and I know all my cousins, and it's like weird. Like I'm not gonna show pictures of like my family reunion, but I just thought it was pretty interesting. A lot of, unfortunately, I don't like a lot of my older, like my grandparents are both passed at this point and all these things, but yeah. Okay, I'm gonna close out now. Okay, so that has been my chat about race. Again, it's so confusing. I look at this stuff, I'm like, this is, I don't even understand. I don't understand myself. I don't understand where I fit. I don't understand my ethnicity. I don't understand what it all means. But I'm white. I don't even know. I don't get it. Race makes zero sense. It's stupid. It doesn't mean anything. Most of us probably have a mixed relative or a relative of another race somewhere along the line. Even Americans, again, for a lot, even if you are pure dead white, for like really awful reasons, a lot of times you probably have, honestly, you probably have a black ancestor somewhere along the line. Like it's just part of our history, you know what I mean? I don't think anybody's actually a pure race of any kind. Probably some people are, like, I don't know. But in the US, so much to unpack there, but it's just really, I mean, it's all just, it's all false. It's all fake. It's all construct. We're always creating it. It means nothing, and yet somehow means everything, doesn't it? So that's my final takeaway. I don't know. Every time I sit with my family's like racial complexities, I'm like, my brain is broken. I don't know what to say or what to think. But that is why I have the relationship to race that I do, and why I have nuanced ways of perceiving it, because I had to have a nuanced relationship to race to understand myself, and I still don't understand it 100%. But yeah, I don't think anybody does, to be honest. I'm gonna give myself that grace. But yeah, it's pretty complex stuff, and I think as long as we're just being respectful and not overstepping and being honest about who we are and how people are treating us and what that means, and I don't know, just being also just making the space easier for other people, you know. That's, I think, the problem that a lot of people have with those people that are like, I'm 1/16th Indigenous, and they have never like I don't know, they see it as like this Pocahontas fantasy or something. It's like you know, it's like it's not. There's like a really real side to race that like people are really dealing with it and really struggling with it, and that's why I'm never gonna sit here and be like I'm this. Yeah, I'm not ever gonna say I'm not just white, because to be honest, even though people like will look at me and they think I'm some kind of strange white, but I don't think they ever think I'm not white, and that's the important part. And it's like, yeah, I just gotta navigate that, and also navigate how fake whiteness is, and how sometimes people do have a relationship of like you're a little bit different, and that's just all part of the complexities of existing in race. I don't know what to do with it. Do we get rid of it? I don't know. Yeah, that's the end of my chat today.